Right, so now I'll be covering AI governance in China in extreme depth. So China's governance logic and its political foundations. Understanding China's governance for AI requires first understanding its political operating system. China's political model is not liberal democratic; it's what scholars call fragmented authoritarianism (FA). China isn't a monolithic dictatorship. Power flows through the vertical hierarchies from party to ministries to provinces. So the execution happens through horizontal bargaining, meaning the central government sets broad principles and the local governments compete, innovate, interpret, and selectively implement these policies or principles. This dynamic explains why AI policy is centrally designed, locally experimented, and selectively enforced. Then, secondly, we have responsive authoritarianism. So, the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) recognizes that legitimacy flows from delivery to stability plus prosperity, not elections. Therefore, the is highly responsive to public dissatisfaction, but keeps control over political expression. This shapes AI governance in two ways. Firstly, digital tools to sense public mood, sentiment analysis, social media monitoring, and secondly, AI deployed to preserve social stability, content moderation, surveillance, etc. Now, Confucian political culture. So, China's governance values are influenced by Confucian concepts, that is, order greater than individual freedom. Moral leadership is considered higher than legal proceduralism, and harmony over confrontation. This means AI ethics in China emphasizes collective welfare, order, responsibility, harmony, progress, patriotism, not individual autonomy. So now discussing China's AI strategy document given by AIDP. So the single most important guiding document is Next Generation Artificial Intelligence Development Plan (AI Development Plan (AIDP), given in 2017. So it outlines a three-phase national mission. By 2020, catch up with the world. By 2025, achieve major breakthroughs, and by 2030, become global AI superpower. This is a state-led, long-horizon, whole-of-nation strategy, unlike fragmented US or risk-focused European Union. So the AI development plan highlights AI is central to national security, industrial upgrading, social governance, economic productivity, and party state capacity, and it integrates hard tech, ideology, national power, and industrial competitiveness. So this is a very unique model where AI is basically acting as an economic tool, a political tool, an ideological tool, and as well as a security tool. Now, the operational design national teams model. So China didn't rely on the private sector spontaneously innovating. It basically it appointed designated champions, each responsible for a strategic frontier. So we have different national team entities and the domain that they have been given under AI. So Baidu was given autonomous driving, Alibaba given the AI domain of smart cities, Tencent the domain of medical AI, SenseTime for computer vision, iFlyTech for voice and speech, Huawei for 5G and AI chips, and Meituan or JD for logistics robotics. So this creates state-guided oligopolies, massive centralization of technical capacity, alignment of corporate R&D with state priorities. So let us search what this means. Oligopolies. It basically is a market structure where a small number of large companies dominate an industries. Okay, so oligopoly, monopoly is only one single company dominating the whole sector. Oligopoly is a market structure where a small number of large companies dominate an industry, leading to limited competition. Right. So a state of limited competition in which a market is shared by a small number of producers or sellers. Right. Massive centralization of technical capacity and alignment of corporate R&D with state priorities. Now, China's multi-layered AI governance system. So it basically has four layers of AI governance, each with different powers. First, we have the central party ideological layer. CCP defines the goals of AI, acceptable values, AI for socialism with Chinese characteristics, and the documents emphasize safety, controllability, alignment with party priorities, and preventing disorderly expansion of capital. So we have state council and ministries for regulatory administration. So main regulators are MIIT, Industry Tech Regulation, CSC for Cyberspace Content and Algorithms, MPS for Public Security, SAMR for Competition, and NDRC for Industrial Planning. Provincial, and then we have provincial and municipal governments. So local governments build AI pilot zones, provide subsidies, experiment with the governance of AI, and partner with companies. Cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen create AI parks, standards, and labs. And we have corporate governance, state-industry symbiosis, where we have firms implement the party-led governance via embedded party committees, compliance systems, content moderation, algorithmic filing, patriotic education, and corporate governance has basically become extension of the state governance. Then we have AI regulatory instruments. China's AI governance is evolving fast. Social governance plus security focus. We have cybersecurity law, data security law, personal information protection law. So these establish data localization, security audits, compliance penalties, critical information infrastructure rules, and strong state access to data. Now, the algorithmic governance in 21 to 22, the algorithmic recommendation regulation, there are requirements. So we shouldn't have any addiction algorithms, no discriminatory pricing, no misinformation should be spread, user option to turn off recommendation, mandatory filing of algorithmic details with CSE, transparent labels for synthetic content. Then 2022 to 23, deepfakes regulation, rules for labeling AI generated content, banning fake news and liability for platforms who are passed and put in place. Then 23 to 24, large model rules. So the interim measures on generative AI must reflect core socialist values, content moderation required, quality, safety, fairness testing, training data must be legally obtained, strict penalties for violations. Then we have China's governance values. So released by most, that is Ministry of Science and Technology, MOST. Core ethical principles, we have harmony and friendship, fairness and justice, inclusion and sharing, respect for privacy and security, responsibility and controllability. Notice what's missing. There's freedom missing, individual autonomy missing, and liberal rights missing. Instead, we have collective good, national security and moral responsibility, social order and controllable and trustworthy AI. So AI basically is acting as a tool for social governance and stability. China deploys AI to monitor public sentiment, filter misinformation, prevent protest escalation, manage population flows, optimize policing, and improve government services. Right? This is framed as enhancing efficiency, improving social management, and supporting stability maintenance. Key takeaways: China's AI governance model is state driven, values stability over individual autonomy and freedom, integrates AI deeply into governance and security, and uses regulation to shape private industry towards national goals, tightly couples AI ethics with ideology, core socialist values. Next, we have lecture 13, which we'll discuss. So, the puzzle of American AI governance. The United States represents one of the most paradoxical governance landscapes in the world when it comes to artificial intelligence. On the one hand, the US is the global leader in AI innovation, home to nearly all frontier model companies, OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Meta, Anthropic, supported by unrivaled research universities, venture capital, and an entrepreneurial ecosystem that incentivizes rapid experimentation and risk taking. On the other hand, the US has no comprehensive AI law, no centralized AI regulator, and a political culture historically skeptical of government regulation in technological fields. These contradictions produce what scholars call a polycentric, decentralized, and often incoherent governance system, where federal agencies, states, private corporations, defense institutions, and civil society simultaneously shape the AI landscape. Understanding American AI governance, therefore, requires appreciating the country's historical institutional design, ideological commitments to free markets, and deep political divides about the role of the state in regulating technology. Now we'll be moving on to historical trajectory from Obama to Trump to Biden. So American AI governance evolved across three very different political eras, each reflecting broader ideological tensions between innovation, civil rights, national security, and market freedom. So the Obama era basically was from 2008 to 2016. Rights, ethics, and democratic values. During the Obama administration, the dominant framing of technology governance emphasized civil rights, fairness, transparency, and public interest protections. Obama officials recognized early that algorithmic systems could produce discriminatory outcomes, undermine democratic processes, and affect vulnerable groups. In reports like Algorithmic Accountability, Big Data, a report on algorithmic systems, and in early work with OSTP, that is Office of Science and Technology Policy, the administration pioneered ideas such as explainability, bias mitigation, and also rights-based digital governance. Obama's approach treated AI as a field requiring responsible innovation grounded in democratic values. The administration invested heavily in public research, open data, and early ethical principles for automated decision making. Importantly, the Obama era cultivated the belief that AI should not be left solely to markets because unregulated data systems could intensify inequalities. This marked the first attempt to articulate a distinctly democratic model of AI governance in the US, even though implementation remained limited. Then we see the rise of the Trump era, 2016 to 2020, deregulation, market primacy, and tech nationalism. The Trump administration reversed much of Obama's rights based framing. It embraced a worldview based on economic growth, strategic competition, and minimal regulation. Trump era policies such as the American AI Initiative treated AI primarily as a tool of economic competitiveness and national power, especially in relation to China. The central belief was that overregulation would strangle innovation and give geopolitical rivals an advantage. Therefore, the federal government took a hands off approach, trusting private companies to self regulate and drive the pace of technological breakthroughs. Simultaneously, the defense institutions like the Department of Defense and DARPA gained increasing influence. They pushed for AI investments aligned with national security, battlefield autonomy, intelligence gathering, and cyber operations. This created a bifurcated governance ecosystem. Civilian AI governance was mostly uh, was I need to search this. I don't know how to pronounce this, so let us search for that.
Laissez-faire is a French term.
Laissez-faire. Okay, it's a French term meaning allowed to do, and it refers to a policy of minimal government intervention in the economy. It argues that free markets driven by supply and demand and individual self-interest are the most efficient way to produce prosperity. It advocates for little to no taxes, tariffs, or regulations, and is a cornerstone of free market capitalism. So some key principles: free market economy. The economy is best left to be dictated by the natural forces of supply and demand. Minimal government intervention. and self-interest and competition. So laissez-faire, laissez-faire,
A meaning. Allow.
laissez-faire. Okay, all right. So laissez-faire. Civilian AI governance was mostly laissez-faire, but military AI development became strongly coordinated and deeply funded. The Trump era thus strengthened the narrative that the US must stay ahead of China in AI at any cost, and that the government constraints on industry would weaken national security. Then we see the rise of Biden from 2021 to 2025, the Biden era, rebalancing safety, civil rights, and national security. The Biden administration revived the right centric orientation of Obama while integrating Trump's concern with strategic competition. His approach is therefore a hybrid governance model combining safety and rights to protect the citizens from algorithmic harms, innovation and competition to preserve US technological leadership, and national security to constrain adversarial uses of AI. This significantly expanded the role of government in AI oversight. The Biden administration introduced the Blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights, the first comprehensive US articulation of rights based AI protections. Then NIST AI Risk Management Framework, that is AI RMF Risk Management Framework, a technical governance standard, and also an executive order on safe, secure, and trustworthy AI released in 2023, which is the most powerful executive action in US AI history. Together, these all represent the most ambitious US attempt to govern AI without passing federal legislation, relying instead on executive power, agency authority, technical standards, and voluntary compliance mechanisms. Now, the policy centric structure of US AI governance is what we'll cover in the next video.